Penguin Random House Audio presents What You Have Heard Is True, a memoir of witness and resistance. This is the author, Carolyn Forché. In memory of Leonel Gomez Vides, 1940 to 2009. Hope also nourishes us, not the hope of fools, the other kind, hope, when everything is clear, awareness. Manlio Argueta. For the strangest people in the world are those people recognized beneath one's senses, by one's soul, the people utterly indispensable for one's journey. James Baldwin. No te conoce nadie, no, pero yo te canto. Nobody knows you, no, but I sing to you. Federico Garcia Lorca. It is near the end now. We are walking in the rippling heat of a sorghum field, cicadas whirring to an empty sky. A man uncorks a water gourd. Another man leans against a spade. There is a woman here, too, wearing an aproned skirt over her trousers. Hard light and the dry rattle of sorghum seed heads. I'm holding a spray of seeds. One of the men takes Leonel aside and tells him something, a secret, like everything else. We get into the jeep and without explanation drive to another place, not far from this field. The campesinos, rural peasants, would have walked, measuring distance not in kilometers, but in hours or days. What are we looking for, I ask, and as always he doesn't answer, swearing under his breath through the haze of smoke that hangs in the air, where the corn had been growing. We stop near a cluster of champas, shacks made of mud and wattle. One of them has collapsed, and smoke rises from it. Wait here, he tells me, but I don't wait. I had stopped waiting for him months before this, but he can't seem to break this habit of telling me to wait. Smoke is rolling like a shore cloud along the fields just above the blackened stubble. We walk, and when he stops, I stop, and when he continues, I continue. He palms the air to say, slow down, or be quiet. I slow down and am quiet. When we reach the champas, no one is in them. No one is home. A large plastic bowl used for making slurry that becomes tortilla dough is overturned on the ground. There is a child's t-shirt in the tortilla slurry. Behind one of the champas it appears that several hens have been held by their feet and whacked against a stone. They are lying on the ground, one of them still opening and closing its beak. 100 or so meters more, and we hear the whine of flies, the hissing and belching of turkey vultures, a flapping of wings like applause in the maize stalks, as the fattened birds try to lift themselves. A flatbed truck follows at a distance behind us, with 3 campesinos standing in the back. They are calling out to us, or to the driver of the truck, but I don't understand what they say. I don't know what I had expected to see, but not the swollen torso of a man with one arm attached to him, a black pool of tar over his crotch. I didn't expect that his head would be by itself, some distance away, without eyes or lips. The stench in the air is familiar, a rotting, sweet, sickening smell, human death. I bend down when I see the head, but I hear Leonel saying, "Don't touch it, let the others do it." At first, I thought they were going to find the rest of the man and place his remains in the truck, but instead they gather the arms and hands, the legs with their feet attached, and bring them to the torso where it lies on the ground. They set the head on the neck, where it once had been. Then the three men take off their straw hats and stand in a circle around the man they have reassembled. They stand, and one crosses himself lightly. The parts are not quite touching. There is soil between them, especially the head and the rest. No eyes, no lips or tongue. Birds nearby hoping we will go away and leave them to this meal. The air hums, we walk. Why doesn't anyone do something? I think I asked. On this day, I will learn that the human head weighs about 2.5 kilos. Over the years, I have asked myself what would have happened if I hadn't answered the door that morning, if I'd hidden until the stranger was gone. Knowing him as I came to know him, he would have sensed my presence and continued ringing the bell. On that day, I had been at my typewriter, a heavy IBM Selectric that a friend would later complain sounded like a machine gun. There were stacks of paper everywhere: human rights reports, students' essays and poems, unfinished manuscripts, unanswered correspondence. A sea wind passed through the screens, lifting some of these pages into the air and sailing them to the floor. The finches were singing atop their bamboo cage, as its door was usually open, leaving them to fly about the house, perching on ceiling fixtures and open doors. In those days, I could type faster than I could think. My father saw to that when I told him I wanted to be a poet. I would need to be able to fall back on something, he'd said. Fall from where, I had wondered to myself at the time. The typewriter was set on the kitchen table, and most days I worked there, the ocean almost audible, the air scented by the fields of nearby flower farms. As it was late morning, the harvesters of Encinitas had already left for lunch, having begun their work at dawn. At first, I might not have noticed the sound of the van pulling into the driveway, but its engine remained idling, so it wasn't simply turning around. Then the engine died, and the doors were opening. It was not my habit to answer the door when I was alone. My mother had been strict about this with her 7 children. She couldn't watch all of us at once, she would say, so there were rules. Not opening the door to strangers was one of them. We had moved to this townhouse hurriedly, my housemate and I, from an apartment we had also shared, after receiving mail from a town to the north of us, an envelope that contained lewd photographs of a man with a note telling us that he was coming to visit and we were not to contact the police. The police had said that there was nothing they could do until something actually happened, and therefore it might be best for us to move somewhere else. So here we were, in a new, unfurnished townhouse rental near the ocean, as far from the city as we could reasonably live, and still commute to the university where I taught and Barbara studied. 28 miles. Far enough. The vehicle that was not turning around was a white Toyota Hiace. From the window, I could see a man get out and sling a tote bag over his shoulder with papers escaping from the top. Then the back panel door slid open and 2 very young girls climbed down and stood beside him. I remember reassuring myself that an axe murderer probably wouldn't travel with 2 young girls. When the man looked up at my window as if he knew I was there, I moved away and cowered against the wall. The dust-covered Hiace had El Salvador license plates. What I knew of El Salvador, I knew from my Spanish professor in college, himself a Salvadoran, and from stories told during the previous summer when I lived on the island of Mallorca in Spain. I had traveled there with my friend Maya to translate the work of her mother, the expatriated Central American poet
Sample complete. Ready to continue?